What is one lesson?
One lesson from school.
In school.
From school.
that you still remember
To this day.
Try to do things you've always wanted to do, but were afraid to try to do. You know, I'm naturally very shy and afraid of people, but I was always curious about people that wore costumes and acted in little plays and stuff. And I thought I would be like a techie, but I ended up really loving acting. And I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't put myself in a position to study theater. You know, I'm very supportive of exploring new hobbies to see what you might really enjoy.
So in 7th and 8th grade, my teacher was teaching us some American Sign Language. And I think out of those 2 years, I only remember 2 words. One of them being sausage, and the other being chicken. Pretty important vocabulary right there. I also had a teacher in high school who taught me how to use a machete. That was pretty cool.
I remember being in 4th grade in Mrs. Clark's class, and she lost a wedding ring, or it was maybe just a gold ring that her husband had given her. And she was going to give $20 to any kid who could find this ring. Now, the whole class searched around for, 10, 15 minutes probably, and then gave up because there was a sand pit in there, and it was very difficult to find. I stayed. I kept going. And then we had a lunch break, and I asked if I could go back out and look again. I went back out and looked again, and I found the ring, and I made the $20. And that taught me the lesson. Never give up when it comes to finding gold. Always find your treasure, kids. Keep chasing your treasure. And one day, you'll get it.
Well, I will never forget to not curse in class. And by curse, I mean say the word hell. Because I got in trouble in math class because I said hell. My teacher thought it was a curse word, made me call home, and my parents laughed at me because I got in trouble for saying the word hell. Oh, and my teacher made me say HE double hockey sticks for the rest of the day. It's a true story. I'm not kidding. Florida's a weird place.
I remember when I was in 6th grade science, we were doing basically like earth science. And one of the questions on a test was, what material can talc scratch? And I was like, nothing. Talc is the softest mineral. Like, that's what we learned. But it was a trick question, and the teacher was like, well, talc can scratch other talc. And I was like, well, fine.
I am gonna go with victory loves preparation. I feel like anytime I actually did the work and studied, it showed, and then anytime I stayed up all night playing Counter-Strike and did no work, it also showed. So I feel like that's carried over into my adult life because I'm always trying to take as much class as possible. I'm trying to work on my craft as much as I possibly can, so that when that time comes that I do get an important audition in my email, I'm just ready to crush it to the best of my ability. And yeah, I feel like it really does come down to when you put in the work, you're gonna see results.
I guess I learned that I am capable of apparently doing a final the day that it's due and getting an A on it. That's not a good lesson though. Please don't slack off in school. Please do your studies, get good grades. Don't be like me. I slacked off a little too much, but somehow made it through and graduated with a degree. Don't be like me. That's what you guys should learn from this.
To always be curious, especially about new people. I was someone who moved around a lot as a kid, and so I was always the new person and often was like bullied or teased or isolated, and it turned me into a person who, whenever there's a new person in the room, even like going through college and everything else, that I try to go out of my way to make new people feel welcome, because I think many times I hadn't been felt welcomed.
One lesson I learned from school that I still remember to this day is my 6th grade teacher, Mr. Baker, always telling me to look people in the eyes when talking to them. And now I look people in the eyes whenever I want to look into their soul and command them to give me a voiceover job. I'm just kidding. Or am I?
I will never forget
that in the 8th grade, Mr. McClellan taught our class that the Earth rotates at a speed of 8.9 meters per second per second. Don't ask me why I still remember this. It's just burned into my memory, and every once in a while it just comes out like the answer to a Jeopardy trivia question.
Definitely that there's more to life than chocolate chip cookies and french fries. Veggie chips are one of those things because they're a vegetable.
I think I might best answer this by letting you know what I do not remember, which is anything that has to do with math. I don't think high school students should be forced to take algebra or calculus or geometry. I've been an actor for 16 years and I've never once used algebra, so.
From school. Okay, what do I remember? Math? What I learned in school is that our minds can and will change, depending on the type of course that you take, depending on the people you meet, the time that you spend there, that your mind can change. But also that any preconceived notions that we have can change, and school is a lot of the time when that does happen. Expanding your awareness, that's probably a better thing, because changing almost seems like, oh, well, now this thing and not that. But it's almost like, both. I conceive of many things. And math. I still know a bunch of math.
My answer is kind of pretentious, but it's an acting lesson that I learned that I really still sticks with me, so I want to share it. So imagine like this sheet of paper as being a character. Obviously I'm using Dorothy as an example because topical. Imagine this is the character. This is the script I'm given, the character, the art, the everything. This is what is provided to me. For the performance, I'm speaking through this piece of paper. And what you do is you end up with holes in the paper. So for instance, this hole over here is for love of music. This hole over here is for being an incessant flirt, insecurities. This one's for abandonment. Did I say love of music yet? I'm just gonna put love of music in again if I haven't already said it. I don't remember what I said. What the holes represent are things that Dorothea and I have in common. So when I hold up the piece of paper and give the performance, what you're doing is you're actually seeing through the character and seeing parts of me. So to be an actor, you have to feel comfortable and safe, I guess, revealing parts of yourself to an audience. You know, as a result, you are also giving a richer performance.
One of my favorite lessons from school is embracing stories and having stories being a part of your life. From reading Summer of the Monkeys to Secret Garden to Where the Red Fern Grows. No, I don't think that was actually one that we read. Was that? My teachers read us a lot of books, and clearly I've retained some of the titles and I haven't retained other titles.
I guess the most significant thing that I learned in school is that there's a difference between what you have to know and what you need to know. And what you have to know is things that are on tests. What you have to know is historical periods and how trigonometry works and the way cells do cellular things. But what you need to know is the real lessons, the real things that get to you, the real things that the most important teachers teach you. I had a teacher named Mr. Gopal. Shout out to Mr. Gopal if you're out there watching this, probably not, but just in case, hi, it's been a minute. But Mr. Gopal taught me that it's not just about having that knowledge in some buried in the back of my mind palace. It's about knowing how to use that knowledge to make the world around you better. That really is the most important lesson that I took from that.
You're always going to find your people, and your people will accept you. There was different cliques and stuff in high school. Like we had the goths here and the jocks here and the cheerleaders and the science people and like me, the band nerds. But it wasn't really that separated because it doesn't matter if someone's from another group. If you connect with them, they're your people. I had friends in every group. Like I had people that I liked talking with that were on the football team, that were rednecks, that were in band with me, that were in theater, that were the artists and whatever. And when you just connect with people, you connect. And to this day, that's all that matters is you connect.
Not to care too much about what other people think and to be your own person and do your own thing no matter what. I guess that's sort of an accidental lesson that I learned from school. Like, for me, school wasn't so much about the academia, the knowledge. Do you see my cat? He says hi. It wasn't about the basic knowledge, which is important. It was about sort of the life lessons that school teaches, like individuality and holding your own and discovering who you are and being okay with that.
Bonus, I'll give you 3. Number 1, make good friends, because they will either drag you down with them or they will lift you up. Number 2, crush your enemies, grind them to dust, and you will do this by learning about them. Their deepest, darkest secrets, their most primal fears, and you will use this information against them to where they are paralyzed, and you are the only one who can move about the chessboard as a queen in a world of pawns. And as you make your final move, as you approach the stage where you will be crowned valedictorian, you will say but one word to them. Checkmate. And number 3, if you get assigned a paper with a long deadline, just get it out of the way. Do it that weekend. You'll be less stressed out, and odds are it'll end up being better anyway.
I just wanted to take a moment to say I know that things are crazy right now in this world that we all find ourselves living in, and it can be really hard to stay positive and stay engaged and stay proactive. And so one of the things that I try to do is I try to balance my life and my day by giving myself things that make me feel like I can do them, that I can accomplish them, like a to-do list, that are not huge and crazy things, but that are things that need to happen. I need to pay bills, or I need to make sure that groceries get purchased. I need to take care of myself and try to do some yoga or some breathing or some meditation. And I give myself this to-do list so that I can find a way to stay connected to the world around me and stay connected to my own feelings and connected to what's happening, because there's a lot of craziness happening right now in the world. It's because right now we are at like over 4 months of basically trying to stay at home and steer clear of this crazy pandemic that we find ourselves all plunged into. So I hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy, and that you are also finding ways to navigate this crazy time that we find ourselves living in.
This will be your first time at the monastery. I'd be happy to show you around.
It really is Fodlan in a nutshell. The good and the bad.
Like it or not, we'll be there soon enough.